So thank you very much for joining. I'm sorry for all these technical difficulties, but hopefully things will start to work well soon. I'm Shpivak, the founder and CEO of Fixel, who joined us for this session. I'm going to let Etgar present himself in a second, and in fact take over the whole presentation. So thank you very much for that. Just a few words about what we're doing here. So my name is Eran, and I'm the managing director at Intango Ventures. Intango Ventures is a corporate VC. We're investing in digital marketing and advertising technology, but also in direct-to-consumer and e-commerce in Israel and abroad. We're located in Israel. Intango is a technology-driven company in the space of digital marketing and advertising technology. The company has been around since 2008. And I've been with the company for around 4 years. And before that, I was an entrepreneur myself. I founded a few companies, and I have a background in entrepreneurship and technology. What we're doing here is we're trying to, I personally was very curious to know how is the current corona effect affecting the business, the digital marketing business as a whole, and of course, who has like the best outlook at the industry. I was looking for someone who could actually help me figure out what's happening, what are the trends and what's happening. And it was quite easy to look around. One of our portfolio companies, Fixel, has that information, and I asked Fixel, I asked Etgar to come over and present his insights and also a few tips and tricks about the current industry and what can advertisers do these days. And at the end of the session, we will have some time for Q&A. And so please feel free to ask questions in the Q&A section within the webinar. And after Etgar will end his presentation, I will read out a few questions and we will answer them together. So Etgar, thank you very much, and please take it over.
So Eran, thank you very much first for inviting me to this event. It's always a pleasure to cooperate on those types and other events. So we eventually going to talk how we can a bit about the effect of the COVID-19, but mainly what we can actually do. The focus of this webinar will be around managing your campaigns, a lot of hands-on tools, not the big strategic messaging, but the tactical approach and the tactical tools that you can start implement in your company tomorrow morning. So let's get started. I will first introduce myself a bit. My name is Etgar. I'm managing campaign in millions of dollars a year. I have managed now. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fixel. And I've written a bestseller book in Hebrew, Shivuk Beidan Digitali. And eventually now I'm the CEO and co-founder of Fixel. What we're doing in a sentence, I will elaborate, is that we're tracking the way we're using AI to understand the online engagement patterns and to allow marketers to understand what is the probability of each one of their visitors to make a purchase. So I will start with the big questions that I will put aside a lot of sectors like travel, like restaurants or automotive that got severely damaged due to the COVID-19, the coronavirus. And I will address most of the other businesses, the e-commerce, the lead gen. Should they continue running their ads? Does it bother to the consumers? So yes, they should run their ads. Only 8% thinks of the consumers thinks brands should avoid advertising. And let's remember, advertising is not something that most of the consumer like. So it's a it's amazing research, in my opinion. The consumer want to see the brand keep advertising. Of course, you have to make all the strategic investment, the creative and in your messaging, towards the messaging that will work today, to make the right adjustment to the product and so on. But yes, you can run your ads, and not only this, you have here a huge opportunity. Now, what we're going to talk here about is the challenges and the opportunities today, how we can understand the way visitors engage with our site today, and the 5 tips that you can actually start to use. I will try to do it short, about 30 minutes, even less. Don't hesitate to reach out and to raise your hand if you have any questions that you want me to stop. I'll try every 2-3 minutes to stop and to see if there is something urgent. If not, you have the Q&A panel. Feel free to use this one, and I will address all the questions in the end of the presentation. Now, when we talk mainly about the businesses that do advertise, then we see a lot of challenges that happening now. They can be around shipping. It's really hard to promise today this 1-day shipping that everyone got used to, the 2-day. A lot of uncertainty, a lot of a limited supply, lots of people order products, some of them didn't came on time. But the biggest concerns that marketers have today, in my opinion, is the uncertainty. We're in a situation that we have no idea when the lockdown will end. We have no idea if we're going to have a job tomorrow. We don't know if they're going to start an economic crisis. And when people don't know, they look, but they don't click this purchase button that fast as they would have before. In the other hand, we have a lot of opportunities. A lot of advertisers reduce their ads, so less noise. People don't go out, they spend way more time online, they'll need new stuff. And people still have the need and the urge to buy. They need to buy the grocery, they need to buy new sports shoes. Sometimes they just want a new dress to feel good in those days. And this will be your opportunity to supply them with their needs. But you have to do it smart, and you have to fit yourself to what's happening today. How does those actions translate into the online? We see more time online, less noise. So we're seeing lower CPM, lower CPC today. The visit duration, people have a lot of time, so they go more around the website. And this crisis mode eventually means dramatic decrease in the conversion rate. We're not sure. And the impact of both of them is eventually that within our website, the website that we're running, we have a definitely new engagement patterns. It means that all the rules that we knew before the COVID-19 are changing dramatically now. The fact that someone, just for example, saw 5 page views in your site on January doesn't have the same signals as it have today. You have to you as a marketers have to relearn the way visitors engage with your content. And in addition, you have to understand that Google, Facebook, and all the other platforms, it's way harder for them to optimize the media according to those engagement patterns, because they're working on historical data. They have a huge amount of data, but this huge amount of data actually going to change so fast. So in many cases, I saw campaigns that until the AI platform learned what's happening, something changed, open lockdown, close the lockdown, and then the behavior change, and then eventually you need to relearn. So you will need to take way more control on the behavior of the people of your site and what you're communicating to the ad platforms. I just actually got an example. This is from yesterday. I work with one of our clients and just look at those numbers. We compare the same campaign, same audience, same placements in Facebook. This is a campaign that ran in January. Not the most expensive months, by the way. This is not the peak of pricing of the Black Friday. This is not holiday. This was the price before, $4 CPM, $1.26 for a campaign that starts today. Most of them is a reach and frequency campaign. We're seeing a huge drop in the CPM prices. This is the time to leverage this opportunity. This is 70 in Israel. It can be 50, 60 in the US, and just use it. A research that we did in Fixel, again, in Fixel, what we're doing, we're learning the engagement data and how people behave in websites. So we make a test and we test this one 2 weeks, I think 3 weeks ago, when the COVID-19 was mainly around 4 states in the US. So what we saw was a slight increase in the traffic, and look at the difference in the drop of the conversion rate. The 4 states that got severely damaged, the conversion rate, the ratio between click to sale, dropped by 50%. In all the other states, it's dropped by 30%. By the way, it's actually now improved a bit in the others and dropped down a bit. So they're pretty much similar. So we see the dramatic correlation between the COVID-19, the lockdown, and the conversion rate. And you need to understand that and then how you can leverage it. Now let's talk a bit about how people behave in your websites. Some of the actions that they're doing are very clear. We know if someone add to cart, you have a high intent. Of course, if you proceed to checkout or make a purchase. The reality is that all those visitors together, for most of the industries, represent less than 10% of the people who buy their product. What happened with the other 90%? How can we know if they're relevant or not? For many marketers, this is the situation. We have those very down the funnel visitors, and then we have all the rest. What I would advise you to do is working with your analytics team, working with your performance team to understand where is the waste, where is the very, very low performing audiences, and where is your relevant and where are your highly relevant audiences. When you will understand, and we will soon give you practical advice how you can use those tools, you can make way better campaign and to do it fast and to adjust yourself to the COVID-19. One of the problems when we do it, what we need to do is eventually to try to understand, to see the very soft metrics, time on site, time on page, how many page view, how many page they saw, and according to those data, to look for a correlation between their engagement metrics to their probability to buy. Doing this, and then you will need to build the segments according to the way the audience is engaged. Because just for example, if you build a campaign and you have sent someone to a product page, you would normally look for something like time on site, like time on page, and the scroll. If you're sending visitors to a category page, then you will look more around page views. If you're promoting content, you will look more about factors of time. I always like to build a separate group for all the people that came organically through the brand, all the people that came from Google, for example, and then came to your homepage or to a specific category. They will normally have a way higher intent. Of course, you have to set different rules for people who repeat, who are repeated visitors. way higher probability to make a purchase, and so on. Now, the desired outcome, and I took here example for what we're doing in Fixel. This is an example of one of our clients. So we can see that he had 175,000 people who visit the site. 36% of them actually got a rank of basic engagement. This is according to our algorithm, and they generate 99% of the transactions. It means that 64% of his traffic did 1% of the transactions. This is a waste. And this will be your responsibility as marketer to understand where is your waste and how you can reduce it. Any questions until now? Sounds great. By the way, if you have anything, please put it in the Q&A, not in the chat box. Just 1 second. I see someone raising their hand. Thank you, Ben. Feel free to put the questions in the Q&A button. What we can do, first of all, in any campaign that we're doing, ask ourselves, how does this relate to the COVID-19 intent? We need to reassess every assumption that we have regarding our media. I have no idea what this presentation cut here. Just for example, new audiences around 60 plus, starting to rediscover the internet. They are way more time online. They used to go out. Now they're in the time when they're not Zooming and making a Zoom call with their family. They are boring. And this boring time, this is the perfect opportunity for you as a marketers. But this is a new audience for the web. You need to talk with them in way more basic terms. Don't make any assumption that they know what is LOL. Don't use slang. I would advise even have a copywriter, even have a 65, 70 years old copywriter. Let them build the messaging. You have no idea how much you can dramatically improve your conversion rate. Just by going to your even grandmother or grandfather, ask them to build your messaging. It needs to be way simpler than you imagine. Going more practical, hands-on tips. When you're running when you're running campaign mainly around display, build a separation between the news to the non-news sector. What's happened today that in many cases, I don't know if your product is around the COVID-19 or not around your COVID-19, but in many cases, when people read the COVID-19 news, they're way more stressed. They look how many new people die, how many new people got sick. They're just looking about numbers. What happened? We have politics. We have a lot of mess. When people go to the gossip, they go to the TMZ sections. They're going into the lighter content. They're a bit more chill. And this is a different state of mind for the same user while visiting even a news site. There is a huge correlation. So in those days specifically, when all the news are super stressed, separate your display campaign between news to non-news. When you're running dynamic ads, lots of marketers around e-commerce, you have your product feed. Your whole product feed isn't necessarily relevant today. Build a new feed. Go filter for the product that you actually sell today and use it around Google Shopping, around the Facebook DPA. This can dramatically reduce waste from your campaign the fact that a lot of people looking at specific product doesn't mean they're going to buy there. And we're seeing a lot of changes around what's happening with the lockdown. For example, in Israel, we see some cities, people talk about more lockdown than other. Target your messaging way more locally. Of course, when we're talking about campaign in the US, then the situation in every state, in every city is different. Go local. Set your messaging to the right tone. Number two, make all the media adjustments for today. And just for example here, when you plan your campaign, first of all, first advice, rebuild all your campaigns. Look at what's happening around the world. This is from Bidalgo. They took what's happening in many industries around the world. The drop in the CPM prices. Again, we saw what's happening in Israel. It's not only here. When you have your optimization routine, cut it by at least 50%. If you can cut it by 75%, even better. All the optimization routine that you used to do on a monthly basis, take them to bi-weekly or even weekly. What you used to do in a weekly, do once every 2 days. Things are changing way, way fast. When you're running a display campaign, never forget today the frequency capping. Spend way more online, you have way more waste. I saw a number of campaigns that running like 100, 200 ads per user. After the 50 time, wait for tomorrow. You will probably won't click. When you're running your A/B testing, make decision way faster. I'm not telling you to make any decision based on 2 or 3 conversions, of course not. But in one end, this is for the larger advertiser here that tend to wait until they have a 98 or 99% certainty in their A/B testing, or to wait until they have hundreds of conversions until they make a change in their media, in their media campaigns. Don't do it today. The situation is that until you will get the results of your experiments, you will have to build a new one, because they will open the lockdown, because they will open the gardening, people will start go out, and then everything going from scratch. Sorry, by the way, for the presentation cutting here. I talked with many businesses, and a lot of them actually discovered new audiences. People that used to buy before stopped buying, but new audiences actually arrived to them and became clients. And when I talk mainly about data-driven campaign around retargeting and around lookalike, this new user behavior generate a huge change. It generates a huge change because the data that we used to work, for example, on an email list. We used to work on a past purchases. The fact that someone make a purchase 6 months ago doesn't necessarily mean that today you're going to make a purchase. I would advise you, first of all, to build from scratch all your dynamic ads, and to adjust them for today. Again, as I said, build the COVID-19 and work on way, way shorter term. It means the dynamic ads go when you build it for the retargeting campaign. If you used to work for 14 or 28 days, go way, way shorter. 3 days, top 7 days. The reality here is changing so fast that after 3-4 days, people already forget what they saw before. This is not the time pre the COVID-19. And for all your other campaigns, besides the dynamic, test the response time. In some cases, actually, when you want to work on a generic, you can actually try longer than you did before. The shorter is specifically for the dynamic. When you build the seed for your lookalike audiences, give me audiences that look like this type of audience. Go for way, way shorter. if you have thousands of purchases in a week, use the LTV data only for the past week. When you build it, now even go for people who engage with your website in the past 3 to 7 days. Remove the waste. I talked before, how do we segment the audiences, especially around the retargeting and the lookalike campaign? So make sure not to advertise to all the people, like we've seen in the example before, this 64% of the traffic that generate 1% of the sales. This is a waste of your money. And today you can put way more emphasis on the very good 40%, like in the example there. How do we do it? For example, we can set a threshold of only like someone who spent 1 minute and saw 3 page views according to your set of rules, and run your ads only towards those visitors. All the rest of your budget, go for lookalike campaign, go for top of the funnel, works great in those days. What other? If you want to work only for the best cost per action, cost per sale, cost per add to cart, use the retargeting campaign only for the highly engaged. If you used to do it for 2 page views, do it for 4 page views. If you send the visitors to a category, go to people who spend more time in your site. When you build a retargeting campaign, work on a URL or a category basis. If you have a sports shoe, the fact that someone saw a sneakers doesn't mean you have the intent to buy your running shoes. Build all your retargeting campaign on a segmented way. When you do it, also the same tip, when you're doing it for your lookalike campaign, make a combination. In Facebook, you do match any, and then people who got this high engagement threshold, plus specific URL, and then run a campaign that is addressing, for example, only the sports shoe, only the sneakers shoes. You will see dramatic improvement in your lookalike audiences. Again, go for fresh audience. Remember that for the lookalike audience, you will need at least 1,000. You will need 1,000 people for a good seed. So don't work on 100 people, but you don't need 5,000, 10,000. Make a very high quality seed that is fit for the COVID-19. Optimize for engagement. We talked before that all the big ad platforms have problems that for automatically optimize towards purchases. Try to optimize your media efforts towards engagement metrics. For example, 5 page views, 2 minutes on your site, any engagement metrics that you think is relevant. Where you can do it, mainly in the top of the funnel, search, native, display. Just for example, if this is a situation, if I'm running a pet supply store and I have those and I'm buying those Google search terms, when I'm getting as a marketer this data, there is nothing I can do. I can't learn anything based on 1, 2, 3 conversions. Think that you have this engagement metrics and you apply it into your Google Ads, into your Google Analytics account. You know the average for this campaign, for example, is 40%. You can see specific keywords that maybe they derive conversions or they didn't even derive conversions on the short term. They will probably generate you way more conversions in the longer run. And maybe in many cases, you run a campaign, you have an accidental conversion, and then you're going to spend a lot of money. And after you're going to spend 10 times more money, you will have the same one conversion. Personally, happened to me a lot. I hope it didn't happen to you, but something you need to aware. You can use those engagement metrics as an alert to make decision way faster than you're doing today. So this is my tip. I tried to do it in half an hour. I think I succeed. Yes. 30 seconds about what we're doing in Fixel. And besides the fact that we're one of Intango's portfolio company, what we're doing is eventually we use AI to automatically segment the way your audiences behave in your website, and then give you those, this is engaged visitors, this is highly engaged visitors, across 50 parameters in real time. And we're actually calculating this one, and we understand the engagement metrics, and we're saving you all this segmentation work, all the data going directly to your Google Ads account, Facebook, Google Analytics, and eventually every other platform. Now, summarizing the key takeaway that you can take from this webinar. Just 1 second. 1, reassess every assumption that you have regarding your media. Look for the COVID-19 intent in every creative, in every strategy that you have today. Change your media your planning for your media investment. Cut the optimization time. Don't make decision way quicker. Audiences, look for way shorter, short time audiences. Lookalike, 3 to 7 days. Everything changing here so fast. Retargeting and lookalike again. Remove the waste. Don't spend your money today on advertisers, on visitors with a low probability to make a purchase. And when you buy media, top of the funnel, display, keywords, native, use the engagement metrics as the conversion event. And this is my email. You will get this lecture, and feel free to reach out to me personally to ask any questions that you would like to ask. And now I will stop sharing and go to see your questions.
Great, Etgar. Thank you very much for this presentation. Let's just, before we start, maybe to jump into what questions we received. Do you see any difference between, I mean, if you look at the global perspective, any difference, globally between different countries or between different continents?
We definitely see the correlation between what happened in the COVID-19 to the conversion rate, to the engagement patterns. As we shown what happening, it was around March 14, when the COVID was only in the 4 states in New York. So there was an impact on the whole US, but those states got way more severely damaged in their conversion rates. We see Italy like totally drop. The drop there in running ads is about 90%, not 70% like here in Israel, or roughly 50% like in the US. We see the tight correlation. This is in addition to what's happening around. We see it's the CPM. We see what's happening between the. We see the huge drop in the CPM for publishers that they're getting today. We see the affiliation industry changing. Look what's happening yesterday. I think yesterday, Amazon announced they're going to cut by 50 to 80% their affiliate commission. When Amazon is one of the leading, if not the leader, the affiliate program, and think how many billions of dollars just ran the Amazon ads, got their 8% of their share, and now this 8% became 1.5%. Just they don't need more clients. Look what's happened around industries like the finance. I spoke with many companies that eventually bought a lot of leads in the finance industries. So in some verticals, no one buying. In other verticals, they are overcrowded and they don't have anyone to pick up the phone. Think all those big corporates running, just for example, the loan campaign, they need this call center. A lot of people in the call center, the workers in the call center can't come into work. Some of them can work at home, but other call center just lose 80%, 80 to 90% of the workforce. And this is not essential work. You can't consider it as essential work to come answering calls regarding a new mortgage. So when you as a marketer, your obligation is to understand the whole funnel since the first impression that you're running in your campaign until the client buying this product or service that you're offering. Even if you're affiliate and all your obligation is to make someone fill in a lead, if you're a good affiliate, you will think what will make the lead to convert.
Okay.
Let's go for the Q&A.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm going to read out a question that came from Noga. The question goes, sorry, goes like this. Do you have any tips about lead nurturing and increasing user adoption, which are two different things during this time?
First of all, I think it's a lot around actually both of them is a lot around the right messaging for this time. When you're running eventually when you're running a lead nurturing campaign, maybe work more content, maybe you can ask more questions that you wouldn't have done before. This is like in the lead nurturing. And when you have your clients, actually, you have a lot of client base, this is the time to run a campaign for them. Give them content, give them webinar, embrace them, hug them. Even if they canceled your service now, it doesn't mean that they don't like you. In many cases, it might mean that they just don't need you today. But if you will think, even for the churned client, what can I do to give them added value? This COVID-19 will end eventually. And then in one simple email, they will go back into buy your service because you were there when they needed you. This is regarding the user adaptation. Even if they won't adopt now, always think what happened in the post-COVID-19 period. Now, Nelly Blake thinks, I have a lot of purchases on my site. Shouldn't I use them for optimization? First of all, yes, use them for optimization. I think it's a lot about the conversion rate. If you have, for example, a 5 to 10% conversion rate, yes, use them. If you have only about 1% conversion rate, 2%, I would have definitely run 2 campaigns to check if you can optimize against engagement metrics and make a decision way faster. If you talk about audiences, if you have over 1,000 purchases a week, go and build a seed for your lookalike around those 1,000. You don't need the 50,000 that passed from you last year because their intent is not as similar as it today. Hope it's address your question. Hope I didn't wrote the answer live. So hope, Nelly, you got the answer for this question.
Great. Okay, Edgar, thank you very much. I think we're going to wrap up right now.
It sounds good. To everyone, just thank you so much for taking the time, being part of this webinar. This is much appreciated. Don't hesitate to reach out to me at e@fixel.ai on any follow-up questions you might have. Bye-bye.
Edgar, thank you very much for joining and for sharing the tips and for doing this session together with us. So thank you everyone for joining and be safe.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Stay home. Bye-bye.